The twin moons of Vel'kora glowed over the crystalline palace, their light fractured through tall glass spires that shimmered like frozen fire. Inside, the throne room stood silent, eerily so. The Empress sat upon her hovering chair of woven silver vines, her pale lilac skin faintly illuminated by the bioluminescent tattoos that trailed down her neck and arms. Her name was Empress Thal'ira of the Vel'korians, ruler of 10 star systems, bearer of the shard crown, and the most powerful woman in the galaxy. Yet tonight, the council chamber echoed with a shame she could not mask. No one would sleep beside her. Tradition demanded the Empress bond physically with a chosen consort every lunar cycle. The act wasn't mere pleasure, it was sacred. It renewed her psychic link with the planetary cores that sustained Vel'kora's shield grids. Without that bond, her powers would weaken, and the planetary defenses would fall. But Thal'ira was not like her ancestors. After the war against the Pyrax Dominion, she had been struck by a toxin that severed the neural pathways in her lower body. She could no longer walk, could no longer move below the waist. Though her mind burned with power, her body had betrayed her. And so the nobles whispered, "She is broken, unfit, half-empress." The great hall filled with murmurs as the ceremonial selection began. Rows of noble suitors, warriors, scholars, diplomats, stood beneath the glowing banners. Each had been hand-picked by the council. "Step forward if you would bond with your empress," boomed High Chancellor Viren. His voice amplified through the crystalline walls. No one moved. Thal'ira's four-fingered hands tightened around the arms of her hovering chair. Her violet eyes flicked over the assembled men and women, each avoiding her gaze. She could feel their thoughts through the faintest psychic hum of the room. Pity, disgust, fear. The silence stretched until it became suffocating. Then, from the back of the hall, a voice cut through the air. "I will." Heads turned. Gasps fluttered like startled birds. Human stepped forward. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with close-cropped brown hair and a scar across his jaw, a soldier's mark. His uniform bore no rank, only the insignia of the Terran Expeditionary Corps. His name was Captain Elias Ward. Viren sneered. "A human. You are not of our kind, Terran." Elias bowed slightly. "I've fought beside your Empress's armies. I owe her people my life. If her strength keeps this system alive, then I'll stand with her, whatever that means." The nobles whispered in horror. A human, a species barely psychic, crude and emotional, daring to share the Empress's bed? It was scandalous. But Thar looked at him, and something in her heart stirred. His thoughts were quiet. Humans were notoriously opaque to Vel'korian telepathy, and the silence was strangely soothing. "You understand what this bond requires?" she asked softly. Elias met her gaze. "Yes, Your Grace. And I don't scare easy." That night, the ritual chamber was bathed in amethyst light. Silver vines curled around a floating platform, pulsing with psychic energy. Thal'ira's attendants had left her alone, their faces filled with uncertainty. She waited, her voice steady though her hands trembled slightly. When Elias entered, he paused, awestruck by her beauty. Not the kind of beauty born of perfection, but of resilience. Her eyes glimmered like nebulae, ancient and lonely. "You don't have to pity me," she said, her tone sharp. "If this is charity." "It's not," he interrupted gently. "You've been holding up entire worlds. You deserve someone who sees you, not your chair." Thara blinked, startled. No one had spoken to her that way since before the war. As the ritual began, the crystal platform responded to their proximity. Threads of light rose, wrapping around them both. The Empress extended her hand, And Elias took it. Energy flowed between them, raw, electric, primal. He gasped. Her psychic field surged, reaching through the void, linking to the cores of a dozen worlds. But something was different. The energy didn't just obey her command. It danced. Elias's human essence was chaotic, unpredictable, yet steady. Their minds brushed, clumsy at first, then in rhythm. And for the first time since her injury, Thal'ira felt warmth spread through her limbs. Tears welled in her eyes. "I can feel it again," she whispered. Elias squeezed her hand. "Then don't stop." Light exploded through the chamber, refracting across the entire palace. The vines pulsed like living veins, and the psychic surge rippled through the capital. Citizens looked to the sky as the defense grid flared brighter than ever before. The Empress's power had returned. When dawn came, Thal'ira sat once more in her hovering chair, but something within her had changed. She was no longer broken, she was reborn. The nobles assembled once more, faces pale and silent. High Chancellor Viren bowed low, his voice trembling. "The bond succeeded, Majesty. The shields are stronger than ever recorded." Thal'ira's gaze fell upon Elias, who stood behind her throne in ceremonial armor now crafted in Vel'korian silver. "This human," she declared, "stepped forward when no one else dared. Let the record show. The strength of a soul is not measured by species, but by courage." Cheers rose through the chamber, hesitant at first, then thunderous. Elias bowed, smiling faintly. "Guess I'm part of history now." Thal'ira smiled back, her voice soft yet filled with quiet power. "You are more than that, Captain. You are my choice." The galaxy would remember that night, the night a human's compassion reignited an empire's heart. And as the moons of Vel'kora rose once more, the Empress looked toward the stars and whispered, "Perhaps the strongest bonds are born not from perfection, but from understanding." When dawn's first light spilled through the palace spires, Vel'kora's capital awoke beneath skies shimmering with renewed energy. The planetary shields blazed brighter than ever, humming with the rhythm of the Empress's restored power. Inside the grand hall, nobles gathered once again, faces tight with awe, pride, and shame. The same beings who had turned away from Thal'ira the night before now bowed so low their crowns brushed the crystal floor. High Chancellor Viren's voice quivered as he addressed her. "Majesty, the bond succeeded beyond measure. The defense grids are stabilizing. The core worlds report a surge of life energy." Thal'ira, radiant in her silver throne, lifted her chin. Her body still bore its scars, her legs still unmoving, but her spirit had risen higher than ever. Beside her stood Captain Elias Ward, clad now in ceremonial armor of woven silver and starlight. She looked upon him, not as an outsider but as her equal. "This human," she said, her voice clear and resonant, "stepped forward when no one else dared. He saw strength where others saw weakness. Let it be known across every world, courage and compassion are what sustain an empire, not bloodlines, not perfection." A wave of emotion swept the chamber. The nobles raised their heads, and the people of Vel'kora, watching through projection screens, cheered across the cities and colonies. Elias bowed, his tone humble but steady. "I only did what anyone should have done, Your Grace." Thal'ira's eyes softened. "Perhaps. But sometimes, one act of humanity can awaken the stars themselves." As the twin moons rose once more, their light bathed the throne in gentle silver. The Empress reached out her hand, and Elias took it.